Ocala local. Use hyper.directory. No triple W, not even .com. Just hyper.directory. Connecting customers to businesses when it matters most.
All right, 23 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. I want to tell you a real quick story. We got a very short interview, but I want to tell you a real quick story. I was in my office, and we look at so many books because we do so many interviews with authors. And Robin and I share an office, just so you know this. And I had finished looking at a book, and I didn't want her to turn around to look at me because I was crying. I was crying. I was looking at this book, and I was crying. It's a children's book, and it is beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. Ida Always is the title of the book, and Caron Levis is on the phone to talk to us about her beautiful book. Good morning, Caron. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Is everybody telling you they're crying with this book? I'm crying with this book.
Yeah. I have heard a lot of people are crying. And then, what's nice is that people seem to, they tell me they're crying, and then in this sort of funny voice where they're like, and they were kind of happy to be crying.
Yeah. It's a happy cry, but it's just a beautiful story. Real quick, I know we've got no time, but when I was a teenager, I grew up outside New York, and I would go to the city, and I would see the polar bear. There was not two of them at that time, and but that
so Gus. Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was either one of them. It must have been one before. It must have been the grandpa Gus or something.
Oh, it was before. Yeah. Okay.
So many years ago. So where are you calling from?
I'm in Brooklyn, in New York.
Oh, you're in Brooklyn. So are you familiar with the two bears themselves?
Oh, yeah. So I grew up actually on the Upper West Side, so not far from them. And then, so I knew about them and had seen them. And then once I started working on the book, I actually went, Gus was still alive when I started working on the book, and so I went and hung out with him a bit.
This is this is like a song. This book is like a song. Has anybody told you that before? It's like music and words.
No, that's really lovely.
Put together. So the idea came to you. Did you have a hard time pitching this one to a publisher?
It's interesting. The bear story was a gift from my first editor and friend. And then, I worked on it and I wrote, and it definitely took a little while, but luckily it ended up in at Simon & Schuster, and they really embraced it. And my editor found Charles Santoso to illustrate, who just did the most exquisite job with it. And they've really been very behind it. It's been really lovely. It's been really lovely.
I just put a picture on we're doing a video of course you're not in the studio, it's us, but I just put a picture of the cover. If you're watching the streaming or if you're looking at the video after the fact, the cover is, the artwork is outstanding. Is Charles Santoso the illustrator?
Yeah, and he lives in Sydney, Australia. And
Wow. So when you decided to write the book, the story came from somebody else's idea. Is that what you're saying?
So I'd been interested to work on a story about loss for a little while, and my first book is called Stuck with the Blues, and it deals with a creature called the blues and how kids deal with it. And so my editor and friend knew, and she sent me an article about Gus and Ida, and those two things became, it sort of seemed like the perfect vehicle to tell the story that I've been sort of thinking about.
One of the things I just realized is that we're not being fair to the audience. They have no idea what we're talking about. Tell them the story without you can't really blow this book, but tell them the story.
No, so the story follows Gus and Ida, the two polar bears who live in a park together in the big city, and it follows their friendship, and then it follows when they learn that Ida is actually very sick. She's terminally ill, and she's going to die, and it follows how the two face it together as friends, and how they have laughing days and growling days, and how Gus helps Ida, and how they think about what's happening. And then it follows, after Ida is gone, it also then follows Gus and how he grieves and how he comes to find, ways to remember and to kind of keep loving his friend.
And did you have some part of you, did you go through anything similar like this in human life?
Well, I think we all certainly,
we all do.
When we're adults, have had loss. Yeah, and I have, and I think a lot of the book for me, the heart of the book really came from a conversation I had with a kid many years ago who had just lost someone, and she said to me, I think it's good that we have hearts and the hearts beat so that we can remember the people we miss. So it came from that, and it also came from my memory of being, I think I was in kindergarten, and the first understanding of someone who had died, and it was a bus driver I really loved, and I can remember very much, like feeling the seats and sitting there and really trying to wonder and imagine and understand what that meant and where he would be now, and so a lot of it came from those two things.
I'm guessing you're getting a lot of feedback from people who've gone through loss and how it's probably helping. It's probably acting as therapy, I'm guessing.
I'm hoping, it's just started coming out, but people certainly who had early copies. I'm really lucky to be interning right now because I'm actually in the middle of getting my master's in social work. So I'm working with an agency called the Jewish Board in New York, and I'm in their child and adolescent loss and bereavement program. Mm-hmm. So I've gotten to sort of learn a lot about it, and then share with people there and other people. Yeah.
That's where I think this copy that you sent us is going to go. We have a similar program here in Ocala. Before we say goodbye, real quickly, do you have a website?
I do. It's www.caronlevis.com. And you can find information about workshops that I do with the book. And there's also very shortly going to be available a free downloadable activity guide to go along with the book.
Oh, that's sweet. Okay.
Kind of keep exploring. Keep exploring.
Caron, you've written a really beautiful book. Congratulations. And Robin, how many times have I cried reading a book at my desk?
This is the only time.
Never hasn't happened.
Never. This is the only time.
Caron, thank you.
I'm honored. I'm honored.
It was embarrassing, I'll be honest with you. Caron,
I cried too.
Yeah, Robin cried too.
But you read the book
a week later.
That's part of it. That's part of it. It shouldn't be embarrassing, right? We're human. It's part of being human.
Caron, thank you so much, and good luck with everything. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Cedric Ford.
Mr. Ford, who was residing in Newton, Kansas, had been served a PFA, that's a protection order, at 3:30 that afternoon. 3:30 he gets served, 5 o'clock we have the first shooting.
Harvey County Sheriff T. Walton. 3 people died in addition to Ford, killed in an exchange of gunfire with a police officer. Donald Trump's rivals keeping up attacks on the GOP frontrunner the morning after the debate. Fox Radio's Mike Emanuel says as for Democrats...
Clinton on